Let's look at the legal blueprint of the Islamic Republic of Iran. On the surface, you see the structures of a modern state, a courthouse, a parliament, and ballot boxes. But these institutions are a facade, masking an impenetrable autocratic fortress. Iran holds elections. It has a president. It has a legislature. Yet it operates as a dictatorship, immune to the will of its people. The human rights violations occurring in Iran are the strict, intended application of its constitution. To understand how this system sustains itself, we will deconstruct its theocratic core, examine its conflict with international human rights law, and map the precise legal transition required to establish a secular social democracy. Achieving basic rights is impossible through reform or amendments. The current constitution cannot be fixed. It must be structurally dismantled. Every state must answer a foundational legal question. From where does it derive its sovereignty? Mapping the Iranian government, the bottom layer appears conventional. The people elect a parliament and president. Above them sits a clerical oversight layer, the Guardian Council, which vetoes legislation. At the very top is the supreme leader. All authority flows down from this single point. Under Articles 5 and 107 of the Constitution, sovereignty belongs to God. That sovereignty is managed exclusively by a single, unelected Islamic jurist acting as his representative. This reality is codified in Article 57 through the concept of Velayat-e-Motlaghe-ye-Faqih, the absolute authority of the jurist. This clause explicitly subordinates the executive, legislative, and judicial branches to the supreme leader, nullifying any real separation of powers. Article 110 further grants this individual unchecked power over national defense, the armed forces, the judiciary, and state media. The architecture of this constitution is designed to bottleneck all state power into the hands of one unaccountable individual. Despite this top-down control, a persistent international misconception suggests that Iranian elections offer a pathway for democratic reform. You see citizens lining up to cast their ballots, participating in the physical act of voting, but Article 99 of the Constitution places the supervision of all those elections under the control of the Guardian Council. This council acts as the ultimate ideological gatekeeper. Half of its members are clerics directly appointed by the supreme leader. They operate using a legal doctrine called Mezarat Estiswabi, or approbatory supervision. This interpretation grants the council absolute authority to disqualify any candidate for the presidency, parliament, or the assembly of experts on ideological grounds. This chart shows the actual flow of an Iranian election. Before a single ballot is printed, this veto firewall purges any secular or reformist candidates. The legislature is prevented from passing progressive laws because progressive lawmakers are banned from running. The Islamic Republic's electoral system functions as a constitutional instrument for regime self-replication. This structural exclusion creates a direct conflict between the Iranian constitution and international human rights law. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights establishes that basic human rights must be applied universally and unconditionally to all people. The Constitution appears to grant basic rights, like freedom of the press and assembly in Articles 24 and 27, but it neutralizes them with a recurring phrase. This phrase acts as a legal kill switch. Any right contradicting Islamic law is legally voided. We see the effect of this in Article 115, which restricts presidential candidates to religious and political personalities, a phrase interpreted to entirely exclude women from running for president. Together with Article 20, these clauses legally codify gender apartheid. Furthermore, Articles 12, 13, and 14 permanently elevate Twelver Shia Islam as the official state religion, while recognizing only Christians, Jews, and Zoroastrians as protected minorities. By applying these religious qualifiers, the Constitution legally erases the existence of Baha'is, atheists, and dissidents. It strips them of legal status and subjects them to persecution without constitutional protection. The Islamic Criteria Clause provides the legal foundation for systemic discrimination and the suppression of all free expression. To dismantle this system, we must look at how successful post-authoritarian democracies have structurally protected human rights during their own transitions. Following the Second World War, Germany drafted the Basic Law to prevent the rise of another dictatorship. Article 1 of this document states that human dignity shall be inviolable. This principle is the supreme value of the legal order, overriding all state or religious interests. They also recognized that majorities can sometimes vote to dismantle democracy. To prevent this, they created a structural safeguard. This is known as the Eternity Clause. It ensures that foundational democratic protections cannot be altered or abolished, even by a supermajority in parliament. Beyond preventing tyranny, modern constitutions also guarantee positive rights. The Swedish model provides a clear framework for this. Sweden formalized a completely secular state in 2000. This neutrality is paired with a social democratic model that guarantees universal healthcare, free public education, and robust labor rights. We also see the importance of strong equality clauses in South Africa's 1996 constitution. These legal mechanisms were essential to dismantling the structural frameworks of apartheid. Replacing Iran's system requires adopting these exact mechanisms: a strict secularism, positive social rights, and inviolable constitutional protections for all citizens. Because the current system relies on recursive clerical vetoes, reform is legally impossible. A complete democratic transition is the only viable path forward. This transition begins with a direct appeal to the public. Step 1 is a national referendum to abolish theocracy and determine the secular system. Once the mandate is set, the public elects the body responsible for writing the new social contract. This constitutional assembly must be fully representative of the population, standing in direct contrast to the exclusionary Guardian Council. The Assembly's mandate will be to draft a document that enshrines the absolute separation of religion and state and guarantees unconditional equal citizenship for all Iranians. To protect these new rights, the Guardian Council must be replaced by an independent, non-clerical constitutional court. The state apparatus will no longer function as an instrument of ideological enforcement. A constitution must never be a sword used against its citizens. It must be an unbreakable shield, protecting the citizen from the power of the state.